What's up, guys? Welcome back to True Sound Studios. I'm Weezna. So today I'm going to show you guys how I built that front equipment rack where I have all that gear and things that I don't necessarily need to adjust every single day, but I want to be able to visually see it. When I'm sitting down, I can see the top half of the rack gear, and then the stuff behind the computer monitor is hidden because I don't need to see it. It also functions as stands for my studio monitors, except for the big, huge, massive B&W speakers. So anyways, guys, let me first show you a quick design of this equipment rack, and then you'll have a little bit better idea of exactly what I'm building. Okay, so here it is. Up top here is the widths. So from one white line to the next, that is represented by this number up here. This tells you what I'm building this for. And then down here is the actual width, roughly, with the lumber that is supporting and kind of dividing up each of these sections. Okay, so starting at the left here, this is 19-inch rack gear. So these are 16 bay spaces. So 16U from top to bottom. So obviously this is 19 inches wide. I'm mainly going to have some compressors, some gear in here, but really things that I don't want to touch. I just want to leave alone. I can still see it actively about roughly the top half of it from the studio desk. Otherwise, I have to get up to move it. And then this next section here, this is only 10 inches wide, and this is for all of my portable hard drives. So hard drive bays, external hard drives, things like that. And then right over here, so this is all the home theater or home stereo gear. Then we got the tower computer. So my main computer is going to sit over here. And then the last 19-inch rack section is going to be, it's mainly a whole bunch of converters, and once again, just more processing gear that is really kind of like set and forget type thing. This whole rack is in the very front of the room, and then the TV actually comes out of this more like middle section here. At least for some dimensions, from this section here to here is roughly 20.5 inches. From here to here is 49, and so on and so forth. Okay, so now that you've seen that, let's get into the build. Okay, so to get started, I built this frame. So it is 1/2-inch MDF on the sides, and I will later support it, but right now I'm just building the outside frame. So this is 20.5 inches deep by 41 inches high, and like I said, it's 1/2-inch MDF. Around the front here, we have 1/2-inch MDF with 2x4s in between. So that's the 1/2-inch MDF. Same thing is in the back, and this is making up the frame and like the toe kick or the riser off of the ground. And you can see I glued and brad nailed / screwed in everything. So this is a really strong frame. And it just does 2x4s all the way to the end, all evenly spaced. And then here, this notch out is for the TV lift, which I'll show you guys a little later on where that's going. And then to make up some of the top support, you can see I have a 1x6 piece of pine that runs all the way across. And once again, there'll be more support. This is just the start. And then another piece of essentially 1x6 in the back there, but that's actually made out of plywood. You can see I got my 90-degree clamps, just trying to make sure this thing is as square as possible. So you can see right now it's a little wobbly, and once again, we got a lot more lumber to go in here to support this. So here, now I'm going to glue the bottom onto this entire frame. So just using some standard wood glue, and then I put some more 1/2-inch MDF as kind of the bottom to this entire cabinet. And once again, brad nailed this entire thing down. So here I'm using an adjustable square to essentially draw a line all the way down the front of this to make sure that when I brad nail this in, I'm actually hitting that wood below it. Okay, well, I brought this thing inside because it was just too damn hot out, and it was getting a little too difficult to work on. So anyways, brought it inside the studio. So now you can see where that TV lift and the TV fit into this entire cabinet, and the reason why I had to push that piece of wood that's right there forward so that the TV could slide up and down behind it. So now I added this piece of diagonal support in there just to keep these walls at a nice 90 degree and keep it nice and square. And at the bottom here, you can see I added some finished pine, and that is what the rack rails will be screwed into. This also provides some more support to those sides to keep them straight. and I started adding in these dividers. These are 1x6 pine that, kind of divide up all these sections that allow me to mount everything. So here is my rack rails with some face plates mounted at the top and bottom of it. This is just so I can create the proper spacing to make sure that these rack rails are spaced properly, because otherwise it can lead to real issues later on after you try to mount gear to it. So this is what it looked like. I added all of the dividers now, all the 1x6 dividers, and created all the different spacing for the different sections. Those smaller ones are 10-inch, the one in the middle is 17, and that one is 10-inch as well. So this is kind of a rough idea of what this looks like with it all divided up into its different sections. So now I added some 1x2s to the top there. Now, number one, this creates a little bit of dimension off the top of it, but also it helps to create some more support and kind of emphasizes where that countertop is on the top of this cabinet. And so finally, I actually mounted the rack rails, and these are some really great and fairly inexpensive rack rails that I found. I will link them in the description box down below. It's also the first time that I bought rack rails and I didn't have to go through and rethread some of the threaded holes on the front. A lot of times when I buy them, some of the holes are not very well threaded and I have to go through and kind of fix them. So these are really nice, worked out really well. Plus they're also labeled, which a little unnecessary, but I like it. Hey, so if you guys are enjoying this video, click that like button. Okay, so now you can see I added all these 1/2-inch MDF, call them risers. It's just because you can see where the rack rails end. I didn't want to go down any further. We do live in Florida, and flooding is always a potential. Not that it should get up this high, but just creating a little more distance between, where the floor is and where the gear is, just puts me a little bit more at peace. But anyways, this is just made out of 1/2-inch MDF. You can see I just kind of made, they're I don't know what you want to call them, little face plates with little edges on them, and I will brad nail these into place. And then these things are the same, except since these don't have gear going in them, they're more like little hollow table things. I'm not going to be able to get that in, but this bay right here is going to be for all my external hard drives. This bottom little section down here is for I know it's a DVD player, but it's actually, I'm just using it for a CD player, and then a EQ that goes right down here. And then my reel-to-reel tape machine goes right in the middle. And then over here is my studio computer. Of course, gear over here. And you can see, here's my hard drives. They'll fit in there, obviously, on top of there, and I'll have to make some extra shelves. But yeah, so that's at least where I am right now. Okay, so this cabinet is essentially done. I have put in all the shelves for all the dividing things and kind of set this thing up to be, for the most part, exactly what I was looking for. So over here, 16 rack spaces. This is mainly going to be all my outboard effects. I still love my outboard effects. They are not glamorous or pretty, but I have certain presets that I really like and I use all the time. And then, so I'm going to skip over here real quick. This is where the computer goes. And I have all these hard drives that I'm constantly pulling from, as well as 4 hard drives that are in my computer, but they wouldn't fit on top of here because I needed 2 shelves worth. So I ended up having to have the computer here, but then all of my hard drives over here. So I got my cloud storage, got a couple of these older drives for older files that I still pull from. This is a hard drive dock, and then just another hard drive, an interface that I occasionally will use, a little audio meter, a little switcher for some RCA stuff like this, my home theater section. So I have a home theater EQ, and then this is a DVD player, but I just use it for a CD player. And then my reel-to-reel tape machine, I'm going to have a little kind of something like that up there. It'll say True Sound right up top here. And then this block actually comes out. When I do that, I can pull this out and replace and put the receiver here. I already said this is where the computer goes. I got my Amazon Alexa that me and my wife talk to each other on. And I got my Slate mic pre that's just kind of like displayed up there. I use that mic pre quite a bit with the Slate mic. And then another 16 rack bay of gear, and this will be mainly like converters, patch bay type stuff, and things I don't really touch too much, but at least can keep an eye on. So if you guys have noticed during this build, there has been a TV behind there the whole time. So let me guys show you. I have a motorized mount that actually picks this TV up and pulls it right out of here and brings it above the desk and consequently covers the window, which is the reason why I wanted to lift and lower. So just to be clear, I did not build this TV mount. I just bought it exactly like this. There's like essentially no assembly required. There is like a power supply, there's a motor controller, and the whole lift is behind the studio desk. But then all you do is you press these, you got a couple memories here. If I just press it on 2, it will start to lift up right out of here, right out of this desk. So I will have to come up with like a way, you know, there will be wood over the top of this desk, a way that, you know, it can somehow cover itself. I don't know, maybe there'll be a piece of wood on top, and when it drops down, it, you know, kind of covers itself up. But you can see it's just on a little memory, and it'll get up to pretty much right where the windowsill is, and it just stops there. It actually goes up even further. You can have it go all the way up, which almost covers the very top of the window. I don't need it to go that high, but well, I guess not too much further. But then yeah, there's another controller that you would mount to your desk, and it's got some presets on it so that you can actually have it, you know, go as high or as low and stop at a bunch of different spots. But yeah, that's one of the things that I really wanted with this studio, because it's the first time I've ever had a window in a studio that I actually kept. I'm now living in Florida. My last studio was in New York, and yeah, I want the sunlight. Also, I'm doing a ton of analog mixing in this studio. I'm probably using even more gear than I will be using plugins, and so this is a way to kind of like hide the big screen. There will still be a little smaller screen, but you know, it hides the big screen, gives me some daylight. Obviously, I need to finish a lot of this, but yeah. So that is for the most part the end of this studio desk build. Like I said, I'm still going to put some plywood on top. I'm going to wait a couple of days for that. I'm going to actually start building my front studio desk. Now, I keep calling this a studio desk. It's not. It's like a studio cabinet. There'll still be another desk in front of here that looks at all this stuff, but I needed a place. The studio is much smaller than my last one, and I wanted to kind of collect all the things that were spread out in the other studio in one location. And yeah, so this is where I am so far. So here is a quick montage of me installing all of this equipment. So we got all of the rack gear, all the converters, the EQs and compressors and all that stuff, all my hard drives, my computer, my home theater gear. And what I like so much about this is, you know, of course I have the rack gear at the very ends, but then all the stuff in the middle is all this, you know, kind of like uniquely spaced things that I just never had like a great spot for in the past studios. And so this time, you know, really thought about it and created this really great equipment rack to be able to put all my stuff in there, but also have it nicely accessible in case I need to adjust it. So this is what it looks like. Painted it all white, which definitely took quite a bit of time because I did prime it all first. Then I painted it white, and then I did put that 1/4 inch finish ply on the very top, and then used that edge banding, which you can see right there, to cover up that 1/4 inch and half inch MDF transition. But I think it looks really, really nice. This is some very unique plywood that I haven't really seen too often. But it really just, you know, creates a little contrast with that white lumber. We got the studio monitors on top, and I still got to get some ISO pucks for these things. Just using foam as for right now, but looks great, and most importantly, it is super functional. So, got plenty of more to do. The next video I'm going to do is on the actual studio desk. So obviously that's like what I'm calling like the front equipment rack. Now I'm going to show you guys how I built this studio desk. Now this was definitely a very tricky build for me. You know, a lot of different angles and things on it was tricky, but I will show you guys how I do this. And then after that, I mean, there's still plenty of stuff to do. There's all the rest of the acoustic treatment, this whole triangle wall, all the finish work. And then I'll also get to some things like I'm going to do a clap test in here so you can kind of hear what it sounded like before and after. Do a soundproofing test so you can hear, you know, how well this studio is stopping the sound from leaving, you know, this space. And then of course, I'll show you guys a frequency readout of the room, you know, with the different sets of monitors. So you know, you have a pretty good idea of, if you follow these exact plans, how your room would turn out. Additionally, if you guys want to get a hold of me with some help on your studio build or for mixing and mastering, which is what I do full time, you can check the link down below, go to my website, or you can even find me on Instagram. I'm on there multiple times a day. I really try to refer all my clients to Instagram because we can do voice memos, and I just find it's a lot easier to, you know, convey the message back and forth when we actually get to talk instead of typing things on an email. So guys, as always, thank you very much for watching. So definitely got, you know, still a good series of videos to do until I, you know, fully wrap this up and call this done. So guys, thanks for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one.